What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So every day I get comments and emails from people saying that they just can't believe that our lawmakers keep lying to us, that President Biden keeps on lying to us, that Republicans continue to lie to us, and so on and so forth. But the truth is that they've always lied. This is not a secret. We know the promises that lawmakers make are things that they really won't be able to deliver on. Yet we hope, right? We assume, being that they're leaders of our country, that we will be able to take whatever they say and it should be as pure as gold. But it's not. And that's leading to the problems that we're facing today. Because no lawmaker can promise the world and deliver. Yet they try every single time. President Biden can't even do this because he does not have full control. And I think that's where so many people are a little bit shocked, is that the president of the United States is really not the one in charge. Yeah, he looks like he's the leader, but is he truly the one in charge? No. Now, when Democrats held the majority in the House, the Senate, and the presidency, which they do at this time, they have a lot of power. But ultimately, they don't have full control because they did not have enough Senate Democrats to overcome the Senate filibuster. That requires 60 votes in order to pass a bill. Now, that's part of the problem. And this is why, even to get rid of the filibuster, where you only need a simple majority to pass a bill, Democrats didn't even have enough people to do that, because a handful said no, we would not get rid of the filibuster. President Biden was one of those as well. And that is part of the reason why many Democrats were very upset that President Biden couldn't get more done over his first 2 years, because he wouldn't get rid of the filibuster. There was no filibuster reform. Now, I need you to keep this in mind as lawmakers continue to promise pretty much the world during this lame duck session. And you need to understand this before the votes in Georgia's Senate runoff will take place on December 6th. Only a few weeks away, 2 weeks away from that. Because even President Biden will say that we need to vote Democrats in Georgia in order to get certain things passed. But here's the truth. One Senate seat in Georgia will not make the difference in Congress. It will impact Senate votes. It would impact the power that Senator Joe Manchin has, but it doesn't mean it's going to give them the power to move the needle in the House. Now, just keep some of these things in mind. Student loan forgiveness. This is something that President Biden promised, and it took him almost 2 years to get it done. But even now, it's on hold. This is on hold, even though the Supreme Court, they pretty much threw this out, right? This is still on hold. This is a problem. Democrats also said that they would get the child tax credits passed. They would get these extended, these additional $300 and $250 per month checks that are going to help keep our children out of poverty. Well, they were unable to do this. Why? Well, Democrats can't even agree within their own party which is the best legislation to move forward with. So the whole thing was at a standstill. They also promised seniors, through Social Security, through Medicare, and reducing their expenses, that they would get more help. Well, Social Security, how they've received is a cost of living adjustment. What was it, 5.9% for 2022? 2023 obviously is going to be, was 8.7 or something like that. It's going to be pretty big, but at the same time, when other expenses increase, is it really a savings? No, right? Medicare, they've talked about including other benefits, dental, vision, and hearing. However, they can't get that passed because some Democrats say we have to shore up Medicare first, then we can expand it. What about reducing other expenses? Well, we haven't seen stimulus checks go to just seniors. California sent out checks to anybody that made a certain amount of income up to $1,050. But again, that went to everybody. And now we got reports that that's actually hurting the state, not helping, because inflation is going back up. So that's a problem. Now, we know Democrats couldn't get President Biden's ultimate agenda passed. Instead, they passed the Inflation Reduction Act. But that was a very small amount compared to what President Biden really wanted. But now the latest promise is that they will increase the debt ceiling, which would help protect Social Security and other government programs. But again, can they actually do this? It was a promise, but I don't think they have the power to pass this at this time. So again, it's another big issue. But we've also heard from Republicans, so don't get me wrong, don't think I'm just picking on Democrats. Republicans came out and stated that if they have the majority in the House, which they now do, they will extend the Trump tax cuts. Now, get this, they say they will extend it. They never said that it would be signed into law, because what does it need to be signed into law? It needs to pass through the House. The same bill must pass through the Senate, which would be very difficult, and then it has to head to the president's desk for a signature. Those 3 things. I don't think 2 of those are going to happen. I don't know if this would pass the Senate, and I don't think this even heads to President Biden's desk. I think the Senate will cut it off and it would be done there. This is unless Republicans give in to some Democratic demands and they kind of have a bipartisan bill, which includes potentially the child tax cuts and a Trump or the child tax credit payments and the Trump tax cuts. Those 2 would have to be merged together, and potentially we have a bipartisan bill. But here's the truth. Nobody has all the power. At this time, nobody has all the power. In the new Congress, starting in January, nobody's going to have all the power. The Senate's going to be tight no matter what happens in Georgia. Democrats are still going to remain in control. But this likely means that no bills will pass, especially if they're coming from the far left. Just don't see it, right? And again, in the House, the Republicans are going to have the majority. It will be a very slim majority. They will still hold the majority, which means that any partisan bill from the Senate likely will not see the light of day in the House, and vice versa. But again, that's part of the problem, because right now what we're seeing is promises are going to be broken. Doesn't matter if it's a Republican promise, a Democratic promise, a promise from Congress, or a presidential promise. Nobody has all the power, not one party and not one person, which means that if somebody says, I promise we will get this done, vote for me, or I promise we will get this done, this is all you got to do, guess what? That's one promise you can almost guarantee will be broken. All right? So that's what we know at this time. Again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I want to fill you in on what's actually happening. And right now, we still have a lot of lawmakers that are promising the world in this lame duck session. However, they still don't have all the power to get it done. And that is a huge, huge problem. So that's all I got for you guys today. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.